Welcome back to the One Question Leadership Podcast. I'm Glenn Caruso, head football coach at the University of St. Thomas, and so happy you tuned in. You know, quite often we get so caught up in the daily grind of work or coaching or recruiting that we don't often take time to reflect. I would encourage everybody to take just a few minutes each day to try and see the bigger picture, to stop and realize that in the end, we're going to be judged on what we choose to believe, who we choose to love, and what we decide to leave behind in the hearts and minds of not just our players, not just our coworkers, but also our children. And remember, if we're doing it right, we're coaching for life.
Greetings, this is Ty Brown, and welcome to the One Question Leadership Podcast, where we highlight executive leadership in college athletics. Today's episode was recorded at the 2024 American Volleyball Coaches Association's National Convention. Our guest is Penny Lucas-White. Penny is the head volleyball coach at Alabama State. Take a listen. We're here at the 2023 AVCA National Convention, and I'm joined by Penny Lucas-White. Penny is the head volleyball coach at Alabama State. Greetings, Penny. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Now, Penny, what I understand about you is that you're a leadership coach.
I am.
Leadership sounds like in the offline conversation of the utmost importance to you.
Absolutely.
If you were to summarize your leadership philosophy in a sentence or two, what would it be? And I'm going to give you mine.
Okay. And
then you give me yours. People who've heard me interview or talk know what mine is. And it's just that the role of a leader is to create and maintain an environment that people want to be a part of.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I believe that I'm a relational leader. Okay. I believe that I'm also a servant leader. I'm not just here to have you follow me. I'm here to grow you and to show you how great you are. Right. So I think it's important that it's not me feuding. I want you to do this, this, and this. It's collaborative. I talk to Generation Z and I talk about what it is they want to experience. The next 4 months we're together and we talk about that. So what does that look like on a day-to-day basis? And through that is how we evolve into our collective values and how we're going to get there. We create a mission, we create a vision, and then we create words that's going to describe their behavior every day.
Okay. Yeah, which I think is excellent. You told me you in 2016.
Yes.
Spent some time with John Maxwell.
I sure did. I invested in myself, my professional development. I felt like I was communicating, but I wasn't connecting with my student athletes. So I took time, spent my own money, and I go down to Orlando, Florida. I spent a week with so many different coaches, leaders in every industry there is. But I had so many aha moments that it changed the way I looked at my leadership and how I lead. And I've had a lot of fun since then.
What's interesting is you've been in the industry, you've been in the coaching profession for 35 years, something like that,
yes.
Right? Head coach for a little over 30.
Yeah.
Right? And so there's significant leadership experience in there. But I guess you said 7 years ago, you start feeling like, I got all this experience. I have all the credibility in the world. I've played games, won, lost, but I feel like there's something missing.
There was something missing. Right? I wasn't connecting.
So there's an introspective aspect to it that I think a lot of people in our country specifically, but maybe in the world, but our country specifically don't have, right? Thinking introspectively that there's something missing here. And so the onus was on you. You took it on yourself
Absolutely.
To go down there.
Absolutely.
And you said it's been fun ever since.
It's been a lot of fun. And I think it's changed the way I treat an issue, a problem. And what you see is a lot of coaches my age are stepping down. They're stepping out because they don't listen, they don't this, and it's becoming frustrated. It doesn't have to be frustrating. And I think the minute we stop being student of the game is the minute you need to step aside. The minute I found a different way of seeing how I coach or how I want to be seen, the legacy that I want to leave for all the young people that I impact, then it changed the way I walk every day, the way I talk every day, the way I do things. And it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's super interesting. Culture is
that's my niche.
Right,
culture
is your niche. And this year, did you feel, and I'm trying to interpret what you said offline. You felt like there was a cohesiveness to the team this year.
This team was extremely special.
Okay, tell me about that.
And I think it's in the method and the system in which I approached. Mm-hmm. We read the book over the summer called Pound the Stone. It's about a young man that played basketball. We go through his entire 4 years of high school. But it was all the small lessons that was learned throughout those 4 years. Very, very relatable to my student athletes today. We met on a Zoom call periodically, and the girls get to talk about what that lesson meant to them or what that experience meant, whether we have limited belief systems, whether we have negative self-talk, whether how we look at ourselves in the mirror. All those things are relatable. So we did that, laid great groundwork. Then we talked about how do you want to handle that when you're in the middle of a match or you're in the middle of practice and you know that you're having some negative self-talk. And so then we talked about that. And so then I talk about what champions do. See, champions talk to themselves. They don't listen. They already know how to talk to themselves. But people that struggle with confidence, they listen to that negative vampire. So there's a difference. So we did all of that. This group bought in. Then we created words that when we say those words, it changes the environment, or we regroup, we reset, we breathe, and then we continue competing.
Yeah.
With that being said alone, that creates accountability. Mm-hmm. When you talk about ladies or women, guys hold each other accountable all the time and they'll knock each other around. Women have to, feel valued before you can hold them accountable or before you can put their backs up against the wall. We got to a place where this group was able to hold themselves and each other accountable. So when the student athlete can self-police themselves, my job's easy at that point. So we did all that. And that's why I say culture is so important. It allowed them to create the environment that then breeds the experience that they want to have. And we went 16-0 in conference.
Which is excellent. It does make me wonder, is that the 2016 to now?
Yeah.
Because I'm sure you've had other sets of teams and seasons where you felt good about them. But is that the evolutionary process of your leadership? Because what's set it apart this year that wasn't in place since 2016, 17? 2016,
2017, we went undefeated both years. We were undefeated in regular season all the way through conference play. They were good kids, not necessarily all bought in, not necessarily committed, may have done some things on the side. Being kids, they were being kids. But they set they set the tradition of winning in a way that we went 4 years. But to go 2 years without losing a match in conference, I don't care what conference you're in, it's still something hard to do. It takes a culture and a commitment. And so anyway, then 2018, 2019, struggled a little bit, lost a lot of leaders and all that good stuff, had a lot of injuries in 2019, but found a way still to win the conference tournament, win in 5th seed, won the conference tournament.
Yeah.
2020, we set out. So we come from this big tradition of winning to set out in 2020. So now we really got to start over.
You got to build everything.
And that's where the evolution started.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And this the same group that I just finished with, that they were all seniors. I had 9 of them.
Wow.
So it was great, a great group coming through COVID, finding a way to win and really creating a family environment. Bo Hansen asked us today, give me 3 words that would describe your team, your current team. And mine was family, accountability, and unconditional love.
Right.
Because we understood we are all human. Nobody walks in practice saying, I think I want to screw up today.
Yeah.
Nobody does that.
I find it interesting. You think about those 3 words you just come up with. It's almost like you may start off with 3 different words of what you think you're going to be. Mm-hmm. But when you look back at it, you're like, okay, here's who we really
were or became,
exactly. Yeah,
because you're becoming.
Becoming that,
I
yeah.
totally agree. So then that translate, those were our words. Those are our inward words that you don't get to experience every day, but we do. But on the court, all you saw was relentless. You saw fortitude and you saw discipline.
Yeah.
That's what you saw on the court. But I know what it took to get them there.
Mm-hmm. Which is excellent. Take the conversation from Alabama State to volleyball in general, okay. The state of the game, the health of the game. When you talk about being a head coach for over 30 years and you talk about seeing the evolution of humans, right?
Yes.
In terms of how humans interact with each other, in terms of what gets young people's attention now, and then a coach to evolve that recruiting, the whole thing, college volleyball. Tell me about your thoughts on the health of the...
Oh my gosh. Well, you look, we had 92,003. The health of volleyball has grown. We're the fastest growing sport in America right now. The health of it has been phenomenal to have 3 pro leagues that's showing up. So our health and where we are and how we've grown is evident. It has been, like you said, evolutionary. It's been awesome.
Yeah, I think that's amazing.
Yeah.
Because everybody I've asked that question feels the same.
Gosh.
So for the profession to feel like that, that means...
It's been amazing. Yeah. And it's not just that it happened in Nebraska. We've had so many different places break records. I like the fact that you had people break records in Nebraska, but Coppin State and HBCU broke records there as well. My gym stays packed. I'm just standing room only.
Yeah, right.
But it's not nearly as large as some of the other venues, but it has totally grown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder about NIL, transfer portal, all these things that you hear talking about, tossed back and around, but I saw recently quotes from one of the presidents of an HBCU, and they're like, hey, look, this conversation is different for us, right? So talk to me about that. Yeah, your perspective.
I don't know how to feel sometimes now. The transfer portal, I think what has happened here, I think our kids, our student athletes deserve something for sure because so many people have profited. They profited from their athleticism and from their contributions. So many schools have made so much money. Absolutely. I say to myself, obviously I was born the wrong time.
Yeah, right. Playing now, right.
But do they deserve something? Absolutely. I'm not sure where we're going because I think it's uncharted waters. I don't think we've figured out kids that may not have ever had this kind of money, we definitely need a person or a company or someone on campus to teach financial literacy. That has to be put in place. I think also what's happening is you're going to have a lot of student athletes making more money than the coaches. And so I don't know. I don't know I don't know where we're going, but I know we're going to have to manage this. But I will say this, we are a reflection of America. You're going to have the affluent, the middle class, and those, the have-nots. Okay. That's America. Yeah. Okay. So we can't deny that that's who we are and that's where we are. And we're going to split off. But maybe those schools that have those type resources, they already set themselves apart. What happens, though, to athletics overall is you're going to have kids jumping ship every year. And I'm going to say it. I don't know if I should be held to an APR at this point because they get to jump ship. Yeah. And they just look like they're going to let them transfer more than once. Right. So I'm not sure where we're going when we're supposed to be graduating student athletes. I'm not sure where we're going yet, but I know it's uncharted waters. I think I'm glad my biological children are all graduated from college and are doing well. But I think we need some people in some places to really sit in a room and brainstorm this thing out to create a system that can still grow kids, teach them what commitment look like because we're losing loyalty and commitment. We're starting to look like all the professional sports. You can't say that Dr. J played for the 76ers, but we're going to say all these NBA players are playing for all these different teams. You know what I'm saying? We don't have that. I understand. We're changed. We're evolved, but I'm not sure if that belongs in college athletics? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm not one to say, but I will say we are approaching uncharted waters, and we don't know what's up ahead, and I don't think it's been well thought out.
Right. There are some concerns with somebody who transfers multiple times. Yeah. It's like, are you tracking for a degree? Are you really on point to graduate? There's also the thought, and I'm kind of where I am on this one. I've been thinking about, because the coaches, I'm a football guy, so it's like, you recruit, and I am a tool for you to try to be successful, and then you go get another job because they pay you more. And then we talk about, am I supposed to stay in this program with a coach I don't know? Or even if I go somewhere and the coach he couldn't figure out how to win.
Okay.
He or she couldn't figure out how to win. I'm commitment, because I don't want to stay in a program where a coach may not be a good leader.
Okay.
They may not understand about putting the expectations and the values in place and those types of things. I'm going to do what's best for me, and I'm not sure this is a good...
And I think that's okay. And I think what has to happen is, I think we need to go back a little bit to old school. We need to make some home visits so we as coaches go pick the correct kids.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Because I kind of want to know their background, because when they show up, they're not just showing up as the kid with all the hang time, the touch, jump, and all of that, the athleticism that we saw. They're coming into our environment with all their luggage, all of their past experiences. And I don't know what trauma they've faced either. So I'm dealing with a lot as well, as they need to do
with the coach.
With the coaches. They really need to ask, when we're on the phones, they need to interview me just like I'm trying to interview them.
Yeah.
And I think if we do a little bit more of that, then we'll make some better decisions. Do I think some kids may need to graduate and they thought the program was something because maybe the coaches sold them a pipe dream and it wasn't like that when they got there? Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. As a kid tell me that they're healthy and when they got there, they knew they had an injury and that they didn't disclose. I need to make some changes too. I think it's a two-way street. So there, like I said, there's so many unknowns, but I don't even know what to say because.
There's some things I agree with what you're saying, because what is the purpose for you being in college right now?
It should be
exactly
to graduate with a degree for your next 40 years.
Volleyball? Are you here to play football?
Right.
What is your purpose? And so there is some soul searching that everybody needs to do in terms of understanding why you're on this college campus.
Well, my next question is, they were making the kids come in that had to do 1 year before they went to the NBA or the NFL. So where does that go now?
Right.
Because if they're not in it for the degree, and then you have why would I go pro right now when I can make $1 million as a college student athlete?
Why would I leave, bro? I'll stay in this conversation. Now, the NBA, I haven't studied enough to understand why you had to be 19 and 1 year out. NFL, it's part of it is a physicality thing.
Okay.
You want the guys to be.
That makes sense.
You know what I mean? Because you don't want to be 18-year-old playing with these guys.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
HBCUs.
Yes.
We're talking about going in 15 seasons, Alabama State, and you mentioned Coppin State.
Yeah.
In attendance. What are your thoughts on how HBCUs have carved, are carving, and will carve out this niche in the industry of college athletics with all the changes that are happening?
Yeah, I'll be the first person to say, and I'm going to say it, I think Prime Time, I think Deion Sanders opened doors that we're seeing. And it has opened doors where now we are on ESPN's, all the different networks where our kids are being seen.
Yeah.
And they're good. And if you keep watching, we're beating teams that are outside of HBCUs.
Yeah.
But they're good. And we have qualified coaches, educated coaches, good coaches doing their jobs. I'm at an HBCU because I want to be.
Yeah.
I love working with a lot of kids that look like me. Mm-hmm. And then to expose them to the other Power Fives and the schools and to take them on all these trips and allow them the opportunity to play at a high level. They're exposed to everything a Power Five is exposed to. And I appreciate my senior leadership who allows me to do that. HBCUs, the tough part.
Yeah.
What happens now with NIL? What happens now with the cost of attendance? What happens now just with us all being divided in different budget systems, divisions?
Yeah.
We're going to have to find a way to make one.
Yeah.
We're going to have to find a way to make one. We always have.
Yeah.
So we will.
Yeah, I think that's excellent. I'll ask these last two questions and then we'll wrap. First one is, if you could make up, change, or get rid of any rule in the game, whether it be on the field or off the volleyball game, what would you do?
That is a great question. You know, we had a big discussion about this today. And just thinking about it, this is what I would really change. And I think after the dialogue and everything, I would let a lot of doubles go and let the people play. Let the kids play. Because the level of the tightness of how one ref may call a game one night is totally different how loose another ref's going to call a game the other night. Unless it's egregious, let it go. And unless our kids aren't setting the ball over the net, let them play. Let it go. Let's see what happens.
See what happens.
Yeah.
There. That's excellent.
Yeah.
Final question is, and you said a lot of this already, but if you're talking to a room full of people who want to be a head coach, CEO, leader of a project, leader of an organization, whatever, team captain, something, and want to be leaders, and people who are already in positions of head coach, CEO, team captains, project leaders, but they want to be better as leaders, what are one or two things you would tell them you would suggest as the foundational things they need to do to be successful? You ready as a leader? I'll bring it on. Let's go.
You need to go to a couple people that you trust and ask, what is it like being on the other side of my leadership? Can you imagine? Mm-hmm. You know, with no retribution. What is it like being on the other side of my leadership? And how about this? If you don't want to ask that to where you work, ask your wife or your husband or your kids, because then you'll really see, Ryan Leake says, you'll see what type leader you are. Yeah. If somebody could tell you, you know, Mom, we never know what we're going to get. You know, we never know. And consistency is important. Something else that John Maxwell, when I believe in the 15 invaluable laws of growth, we want to learn how to grow, being intentional. So what end in mind do you want? And the law of intentionality tells me that the things that I do, I want to be very intentional about how I approach certain things. But when you find out what it is to be on the other side of your leadership or relationship, you'll change some things if they're honest with you. Yeah. And then number 2, be a student of the game. 21 irrefutable laws of leadership to teach you that as well. So I'm a big John Maxwell fan, and I'm a big believer in leadership, and I walk in it. I don't just talk about it. I walk it.
Yeah, which is excellent. Well, Coach, I really appreciate you joining us here on D1 Ticker and Coach's Wire.
Okay. Can I leave you with one more quote?
You sure can. Let's get it.
Everything rises or falls on leadership, because at the end of the day, nobody's going to remember who my assistant coaches were. They're going to fire me. Everything rises and falls on leadership.
Everything rises and falls on leadership. Yes, ma'am. Appreciate you joining us.
Thank you.
That was Penny Lucas White. Penny is the head volleyball coach at Alabama State. And of course, I am Ty Brown with one question. And keep in mind, the role of a leader is to create and maintain an environment that people want to be a part of. And as always, be better tomorrow than you are today. This episode of the One Question Leadership Podcast is produced by Spades Media Group, solving problems using creative leadership.